everyone, and welcome to the Committee on Public Services. We will now begin. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Each member is acknowledging that they are attending the meeting via Zoom and that they are located in Wayne County, Michigan, unless otherwise stated when I call your name. Commissioner Varga.
Here.
Commissioner Palomera.
Here.
Commissioner Kinlock.
Present, attending from Traverse City, Michigan.
Nice.
Thank you. Commissioner Hattis.
Present.
Commissioner Baydoun.
Here.
Commissioner Dobb.
Here.
Chair Marecki.
Here.
You have a quorum
Next
present.
item. Thank you. Next item.
Chairwoman's remarks.
Okay, I have none at this time. Next item.
C, approval of the August 10th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Okay.
So moved.
Support, Kinlock.
Okay. We have an approval by Commissioner Baydoun, I believe, supported by Commissioner Kinlock. Any discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor of approving last meeting's minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Next item.
Item 1, under unfinished business, forwarded from the Wayne County Commission meeting held on August 19th, 2021, requesting Commission approval of a contract with the Michigan Department of Transportation.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Kinlock, move approval.
Okay.
Support.
All right. Supported by Hadis. Okay. All right. I just have a comment before this. We're going to do something a little bit different for this item. We're going to hear a presentation from DPS, then get all the commissioners' questions and comments, and then we're going to go to audience communication on this, because there's people on here that I'm sure don't want to wait through the whole meeting till the end of the meeting. So we will do that at that time. And yeah, let's start with this. So let's go to Director Watts.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair. Happy birthday to you.
Oh,
Happy
thank
birthday.
you so much.
Oh,
Thank
yes.
Thank you.
And thank you again for allowing us to come back to the committee to speak about this very important project. Alicia and SimCog is here. They'll be going through the presentation similar to the one that we provided to some residents even last year and even this year. I just like to say we will continue, and as all of our recreation activities, we try to, according to our strategic plan for parks, try to improve the quality of life for all of our Wayne County residents, including those who visit, that does not reside in Wayne County. We will show you today, whereas when we first brought the project up, this has been going on for a couple of years. And basically this is going to be allowing another project access to all residents to Hines Park. So it has like 10 connector points. So basically what you'll see is another plan aligned with our strategic plan to make sure our parks are open to everyone, to all of our residents again. But you also see in this presentation where we heard our residents as we include them in our strategic plan and ideas that we'll come up with. And this is one of the ones over the years, some of the residents have been saying, we want more access to the park, we want more trails developed. As we went through this process, we also heard from some residents, as well as this honorable body, of some residents who had some concerns about the trails that were run along their residential area, which we definitely appreciated. You will see that after obtaining that information, the parks team, along with SimCog, they went back to the drawing board and they made some adjustments to the trails. You'll see that, what they're doing their presentation today. So amenities they've offered, we've moved the trails back along some of the residential areas by 80 feet, away from the residential home. So you'll see that during the presentation. So what you'll see overall in this presentation is our vision and our stride is to always try to listen to our residents, no matter what side they're on. We'll try to make those alignment and those adjustments when we're trying to improve access for our parks for all citizens of Wayne County. So that's what you're going to see today. We'll address any questions that you may have. So Alicia, if you're ready for your presentation, along with the representative from SimCog and the Greenways, because this project also is connected larger to a larger vision and larger plan for connecting communities throughout Wayne County. So Alicia, at this point, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Watts. Madam Chair, thank you for the time on the agenda, and I'll be brief, but I do want to acknowledge the partners that Director Watts mentioned from SIMCOG, Brian Pollock, who should be on the meeting, as well as our partner from MDOT should be on, Vincent, and a number of our partners from Detroit, the Chief of Planning, and those from the General Services Recreation Division, and again, of the Planning Department. As she talked about a greater vision of connection. And I will, if I am able to share screen, I can bring up the presentation, but just before that, just aligning again what Director Watts mentioned, part of our strategic plan in which we did a number of community meetings several years ago when it was approved by the commission, and which will be for renewal, we talked about what would you like to see within your Wayne County parks. And the resounding feedback that we received across a number of 5 to 6 meetings that we had across the county was more connection to Hines in order to safely access the amenities along Hines Park along our 17 miles. And so we wanted to look at those primary areas in which we could safely provide access, where we can connect to other regional trail systems, our Iron Bell Trail, our Joe Louis Greenway, which will be implemented, the Quinta Cut. Now we just had the Dennis Archer Greenway that's been dedicated. We have a down river Greenway, Links Greenway that we're trying to connect to, 275 trail system. So this is all a regional trail system where every community is looking at the opportunity of how we can interconnect to provide accessibility to all of the users, all of the residents within those municipalities, and definitely to our regional park systems, the Huron-Clinton, again, to a number of those. And so this is part of the visioning for this. Again, we've been working with the Rouge River Greenway, and hopefully our partners from Friends of Rouge are on the call as well, which has again been another partner of this overall vision for this connection point, how we led to identifying the Parkland Park and AKA Hines Park Connector, Parkland Park. So if I'm able to share screen, I'll just briefly go through it and give you an overview, again, of what Director Watts said of how we had public meetings, we engaged with the community, we heard their feedback, we made some adjustments, how those adjustments line out, and then to be able to answer any other questions for this committee as well. So let's see if I'm able to share screen. Let's see here. See. I'm sorry, see if I can be able to share screen with this. All right. All right. Okay, we go. And share, there we are.
Okay.
Can you all see the screen?
It's coming on.
Okay.
Starting.
Yes.
Okay, let's go back. All right, let me maximize it. All right, there we are. All right, so everyone can see, you see the screen?
I can't.
Okay, I maximized.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, there it goes.
Okay, can you see? Okay, good,
Yep.
Great. Thank you. So just a project overview of what I said about the Greenway Connector, and just in summary, how it is part of the River Rouge Greenway and how we've been working on our Ralph Wilson Connecting the Rouge program plan that has been funded partially by Ralph Wilson. So all of this is interconnected within that overall holistic plan. So again, this connection point connects regionally to Hines at the Parkland Park area in Dearborn Heights. And again, our framework plan, how it all is succinctly correlated in developing these access points. And not to speak of our county executive, in which he likes to make sure that we have connection points to the community to be able to allow them access to not only our assets, but other parks within their own community and the other regional parks as mentioned earlier. So just an overview of just the project area, which is Ann Arbor Trail. This is the existing Parkland Park, which is owned by Wayne County, but which has been managed under the agreement with Dearborn Heights, of course, the residential area, existing sidewalk. And what we looked at with this connection point is to do an extension of a crosswalk across Ann Arbor Trail in order to create the connector point, as you see here as I'm drawing from the arrow, down to our parkland recreation area onto Himes. And so it's a 0.2 mile trail or non-motorized trail that will come down to Himes Park, and which will create some parking, paved parking, with 36 additional spaces, which will be handicap accessible as well. What we also are implementing are some stormwater controls. There are issues with flooding, which detours our maintenance in areas of proper mowing because it's wet much longer and our mowers cannot get into that area. So we'll be implementing some stormwater rain gardens for the water quality control to hopefully alleviate the great amount of water that is held within that area, or to allow it to run off faster, so we will be able to do our improved maintenance to that area. And then again, we'll have our ADA restroom facility, drinking fountain, and bike racks that we have in place now. So again, 0.2 mile trails that will come down to Himes Park to safely be able to utilize the remainder of the trail system on Himes, the bike path, and the other amenities for the 17 miles. And then the next slide will show where we had the initial plan proposal of the trail and the residential homes that you can see outlined here in the crosswalk that we had. From the conversation, again, as Director Watts mentioned, we had the initial trail along our property line, but take into account that some of that has been extended out, and just because of some of the concern about the trail being directly behind the residential property, I'm going to the next slide, that we demonstrated that we pushed this particular trail back 80 feet from the original trail, which was outlined in the green here. This was the original trail path, but because of that feedback from the community, our team, as Director Watts indicated, went back, spoke to our SEMCOG partners and our many other partners, and we have realigned it to the concurrent proposed, where we've pushed it back again 80 feet from the residential area, which was originally our property line. And so from that, what we tried to do is create enough buffer between the homes and the connector path to traverse safely down to Himes Park. Within that, we looked at putting a boulder retaining wall just because of the slope and the topography of the area. We've also looked at with the existing plants and shrubbery that are there, but doing other beautification to create a buffer barrier, and which we traditionally have not done, and which traditionally has not taken place within the trail systems, that we will look at some point of putting some lighting implementation down through the trail through specific grants and cost budget for that. We don't encourage lighting at that time because our parks are used from dawn to dusk. And at that point, if you put in lighting system, you may have users out during all times of the night, which we're not trying to promote, but we also heard about the concerns from the community about having some area lit just for the safety of the paths coming behind that area. And then just going down, again, it talks about just about some of the solutions that we have from the initial community feedback, the boulder retaining wall, which I mentioned, the planting and shrub screening, the path shifted 80 feet as the ADA accessibility in the floodplain will allow us to, and then again, possible trail lighting. And then frequently asked questions about it. Will it increase crime? I know that was a concern from the community, in which we heard as of late of yesterday as well. And from the reports with our SEMCOG partner, again, I mentioned Brian Pollock is on, from a study that they did in the implementation of this, is that it does not increase crime. Of course, we note that we can't detour all of those activities, but what we believe in the recreation profession, if you build positive amenities, then that will bring positive change and positive users to that space. So if there may be some negative impact, we're hoping what we've seen in trends that it will, again, kind of push out the unwanted element and provide the positive use of these trails and park amenities in which we're trying to implement. Also, will it decrease my property value? We know that parks overall, from a national plan, from our National Recreation Parks Association, our City Parks Alliance, and even our local association, MParks, have done studies about trails, have done studies about park amenities, and if they affect our property value. And they do, but they do in positive. At instances, there may not be a natural effect, but some of they do increase property values. If you're buying properties within a safe, clean park space, that increases your property value. Having a park that is in walkable distance from you, a quarter mile, half a mile, that increases the property value. And there has been founded studies on that, which positively impacts economic development, where you see parks offering more amenities, where they have concessions offered to those small businesses, minority businesses that are able to expand and utilizing those facilities in the park system, and then to drive economic opportunity, as well as in those municipalities. If you have particular connections along those ways, you can come up with specific restaurants, things of that amenity that, again, allows individuals while they're biking, walking, to jump off the trail, be able to enjoy a cup of coffee, a spot of tea, or those that like to go a little further at a brewery and have some nice microbrewery mixed beverages. And then again, number 3, can this connector be eliminated? And if so, can funding be directed to another site? And again, this connector is part of a regional connector, which comes from Detroit through Rouge Park. They're also looking at the Rogale Golf Course, as well as Bonnie Brook Golf Course through Dearborn. Dearborn is working on their own connection system. We already have existing of the U of M area that goes behind Andiamo's, which will extend down to Dearborn Heights, again, through the Parkland Park Connector, down through our Parkland Park Recreation Center, onto Hines, and mainly driving impetus is our Rouge River Greenway as well, that this is part of that plan. So if this particular connector does not move forward, that means Wayne County Parks will lose the grant opportunity, and we do not have an opportunity to redirect that funding to another project. And it may jeopardize us for any future funding. And Brian is on the call. He can talk and speak to that about the grant. But part of this grant as well was that we had to provide a maintenance plan for this area. And I know that was another concern of the community and the residents there. And again, most of our issue of maintenance was addressed by water and it staying wet in those areas where we were not able to keep up with a preferred mowing schedule that we typically like to do within our park system. So with the stormwater control, with the enhanced plantings and shrubbery, and then with the mowing, the alleviation of the water, that we will be able to redirect our priorities, that this will receive the same level of maintenance that the whole entire Hines Park system receives. And that was part of the requirement from the TAB grant to SEMCOG and MDOT. But we will not be able to take this money and say, oh, let's redirect it here to Outer Drive location, or can we redirect it to another connector? We will lose this funding and may potentially not be able to receive additional funding based on other project opposition to this. And again, we hear the concerns, we've heard the concerns, we've tried to take into account, again, all of that. And are we going to lay all the concerns? We are not going to be able to do that, but we seriously will, again, and we looked at what we directed here and trying to account for those major issues in order to have this project positively impact and move forward. And I can take any questions if necessary at this time.
Yeah. Madam Chair, and thank you.
Yes.
Madam Chair, could SEMCOG, if they want to provide a comment for projects such as this in other areas where they've been involved, that I don't know if Brian want an opportunity, if allowed.
Yeah, that's fine. I just have one question before Brian comes on. Another concern of the residents is that since that's going to be an entry way right at that street at University, what kind of barrier is going to go up there so cars cannot just drive down the pathway?
So what we do have and what we explain to the community, and thank you for that question, Commissioner Mameriki, is that we have collapsible bollards that are really for the emergency access vehicles and our maintenance vehicle to be able to access. So again, the vehicles are not going to be able to access this area because we will have bollards put in place. And our team has designed where there's a very narrow access that, again, will not allow vehicles to be able to get onto the pathway connector. This plan had been reviewed by Dearborn Heights engineering team, in which we received the permit in order to proceed with this project. So it's been taken into account, again, accessibility, the engineering for road traffic plan, and the crossway connector plan. So that is one thing that we've implemented that will be involved. And if John Gundry from my team, or Elizabeth Isler, the chief of planning, or John Gundry, our design manager, who is going to be the project manager as well, if I missed anything, if they will be able just to add to that. But that is what we will have in place in order to prevent vehicles from being able to access that other than our vehicles or emergency access or sheriff patrol if needed.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so why don't we go to Brian Pollock from SEMCOG? Is that who you suggested, Director Watts?
Yes.
Okay,
Brian.
Why don't we go to Brian?
Thank you, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yes.
So I am Brian Pollock with SEMCOG, Southeast Michigan Council of Governments. And, we are an organization that assists counties and communities and cities and townships through a variety of different aspects, but, transportation, environment, economic development, equity. So we're here to assist, communities. And as part of that, we help facilitate the Transportation Alternatives Program, or TAP. And so that's federal funding that comes in specifically for transportation projects that relate to enhancing, walkability and bikeability, enhancing, the environmental impacts of, transportation-related facilities such as stormwater runoff, as well as, looking at projects that help out with safe routes to school and, different pedestrian safety streetscape projects. So I administer that program specifically for our 7-county region. So that's Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, Livingston, St. Clair, Washtenaw, and Monroe counties. So I've been doing that since 2013. And so, I've, helped with a lot of different projects along the way. As you might have been previously mentioned, there's over 80 projects that have been completed that relate to bicycle and pedestrian travel through the Transportation Alternatives Program. Many more in development. I'll provide a link to that, a website where you can actually see the different types of projects that have been developed. And as well as MDOT, they have additional Transportation Alternatives Program funding that they fund projects throughout the state of Michigan, including within Southeast Michigan. So between both agencies, there has never been a reported case of crime being increased or property values being decreased related to any type of bicycle and pedestrian project, let alone specifically trails. So, locally, we don't know of anything of that nature. But additionally, we did, research, looking at the impacts nationally. And, there was a comprehensive study that was done in the late 90s where it examined 372 trails across the region and totaled, over 7,000 miles. And it showed very low reports of crime to begin with. In fact, there was many law enforcement agencies that, wrote to this study group that was talking about the examination of crime along trails and said that trail usage, if you actually have more eyes and people out there like on the trails, it actually decreases crime because there's more people looking at it, basically doing a lot of self-policing. But research also showed that crime rates were generally lower on the trail network than the surrounding area for the region. And that's whether you're in an urban, suburban, or a rural environment. So again, I just want to reiterate that there's no research out there that shows that there could be an increase in crime or decrease in property values. So I just doing due diligence to make sure that the county, and everyone is aware of that. So with that, specifically to this project, this is a project that Wayne County came to SEMCOG and asked to utilize transportation alternatives programming funding for. And so, SEMCOG like the concept because it meets our bicycle and pedestrian mobility plan, which I'll provide a link to that, which helps out from the regional trail perspective, but also from an equity standpoint, bringing access to the neighborhoods, increasing health, and different aspects from that standpoint, as well as economic development. So, and in spirit, it's a great project, and we leave the specifics up to the county, who works with MDOT specifically on the plan. So there is engineers, safety engineers, that look at all aspects of the project and are looking out for those negative aspects. And some of those things that I've seen within the comments over here about, well, what do you do about motor vehicles traveling up, or what about the widths, or what about the crosswalks? Those are all things that the local agency program staff at MDOT review and make sure that it meets all of these safety criteria. So I have full faith within our MDOT staff, as well as Wayne County's engineers and design staff, that this would be done to minimize any of those externalities. In regards to the width, I keep seeing that it's saying it's 12 feet. I believe it's actually a 10-foot path with just a 2-foot shoulder area, which is like a clear zone. So that way, in case there's a lot of traffic on the road, that on the path, that a pedestrian can step off and not fall off a cliff type of situation. So it's like you say 12 feet of clear area, but it's actually a narrower paved area for the actual path. So that talks about more of the design aspects, but I also just want to reiterate, as my colleagues have mentioned about funding. All of the funding goes through a process, with an open and public process through SEMCOG. And so there's a regional review committee that, as the one that actually approves these projects. And so if there is a situation where a project just doesn't, it can't move forward, it needs to be rescinded, and those funds cannot be used by the agency for other projects. Basically, Wayne County would have to get back in line and go through an entire process again for a completely different project in order to get that type of funding again. And again, being that this is part of a larger network, I can't speak specifically for the regional review committee that does these improvements, but I would assume that at least in the back of their mind, they'd be thinking, well, how is this new project different than the last one that went through a public process and took years to develop, and at the last minute was pulled. So I just want to reiterate that while it's not impossible, it is something that you should consider in regards to not approving this project specifically. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission or others have related to SEMCOG's role within the Transportation Alternatives Program process.
And
Okay,
Madam Chair,
thank you, Brian. And just one thing, Madam Clerk, in the chat room, people are saying that there's people trying to get into our meeting and can't get in. I don't know. I just want to tell you that.
Thank you. I'm still letting people in.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Director Watts, is there somebody else that you'd like us to hear? And I know, Alicia, we'll go back to Elizabeth.
Yes, not at this time, Alicia, unless you have, if you want to get to questions. I know that, you have a lengthy agenda today. And so I don't know, Madam Chair, if you just want to go straight to any questions the commissioners may have about this project.
Yeah, it's fine if you guys are done. And
Madam Chair, I just have one comment though, because I am reviewing in the chat as well. Thank you for that. And specifically about the crosswalk. And again, we presented that project, and then Brian spoke about the engineering team that has been helping with that. And it was presented MDOT as well as to the Dearborn Heights Engineering. And what we're implementing as far as the crosswalk, because I saw some comments about the 25 miles per hour speed limit. We are putting in, zebra stripe crosswalk there will be a 100-foot warning about the crosswalk with appropriate signage that will be there in order to notify, and I think we have proposed flash lighting in as well. So people will be made aware that that is a crosswalk at that space to respect the pedestrian traffic in that particular area. We have not requested to increase any speed limit, decrease any speed limit, but we have went through those engineers on our plan on what's appropriate to identify that crosswalk at that area, which is extension of just the existing sidewalk to the park space, to Parkland Park. Thank you.
So I see, let's go to commissioners. Right now I just see Commissioner Baydoun's hand up. So why don't you start, Commissioner Baydoun?
Madam Chair, if you don't mind, if you can allow me to yield my time to Commissioner Kniezek, since this is his district and he does not serve on this committee, I would like Commissioner Kniezek to start off and then I'll come back.
For sure. Go ahead, Commissioner Kniezek.
Well, I appreciate that, Madam Chair, and thank you to Commissioner Baydoun for that opportunity. Again, just appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation. I know that the residents do too. Commissioner Baydoun and Marecki and I had the opportunity to go out yesterday and view this property. And I just want to reiterate really what I said from last week, and that is communication just has to be better here. And nobody, myself included, is opposed to, I think, conceptually what we're talking about. I love our park system. I think we have a great parks team here at the county. And increasing accessibility to that park system, I think is a beautiful thing. And it's still a bit unclear to me. Yeah, I heard the conversation about the funding and what could be lost or what could not be lost. It's still unclear to me if we're doing 10 of these and we're approving them on a one-by-one basis, or, you know, if the grant is for these individually, or is the grant for all 10? And so if we jeopardize one, we jeopardize the whole thing, or, you know, I still think there's some more questions that need to be answered. And of course, just appreciate the commission giving us the opportunity to engage in these here. So I know there's residents here who are interested in sharing their thoughts and their concerns. You know, my position on this has not changed from last Thursday in terms of my opposition to the project at its current state. And so I wanted to restate that for the record. But that being said, I'm very interested in hearing from our residents here today and the responses that we have for them too. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And would you like someone to respond to your questions about the grant?
Yeah, if someone's able to, that would be great. Again, I got a couple calls from, you know, folks in the administration since my comments last Thursday. Greatly appreciated that and appreciate the check-in, but have still not seen any details around some of those financial questions or grant questions that I have. So if somebody can answer it, that would be great.
Madam Chair, I can, and then I will ask Brian and Will to confirm information. Now, one thing respectfully to Commissioner Kniezek, I'm not sure where the 10 connectors, where that number is coming from as far as the amount of connectors that will be implemented. Of course, it's part of a regional aspect, and our many partners from Detroit and the other communities are respectfully for applying for their own TAP MDOT grants. We are particularly focused at this point to that one connector, which is part of the larger regional system, which may be awarded to the other municipalities. But we're specifically looking at the Hines Park Parkland connector. And as stated, and I think Brian indicated, if we do not proceed with this location, then we would have to basically rescind the funding and, as he indicated, get back in line if we identify another connector in order to be able to apply and to be reviewed by the regional committee if we will be awarded. So I hopefully that addresses Commissioner Kniezek's question. If he has information about a 10 connector points, if he can share that, that would be helpful.
Well, unfortunately, I can't share anything about 10 connector points because that number was provided to me by the Parks Department and the administration. So again, I'm not interested in having a back and forth here or arguing with somebody. It's just, again, 8 months we've been waiting for some answers here, and respectfully, that's really silly to me. So, you know, if there are things that can be done or more conversations that can be had here, I think that's great. But I'm again interested in hearing from our residents, and everything that I have is going off of what's been presented to me so far. So that's where that 10 number is coming from. But that being said, I'll just yield back.
Madam Chair, if I may, I think clarification needs to get, I think they're both saying the same thing, but I think what Alicia was trying to make the point is, of course, today this funding is for this particular connector point. I think previous discussions was talking about the regional connection. And that's where you're probably getting the 10 connectors for the regional. But for this particular grant funding, for this particular contract, we're only talking about that one particular connector point, just for clarification.
And so if we decide for whatever reason to not move forward with this connector, is that jeopardizing the other 9 connectors, or is it only jeopardizing this connector? I understand the point about it could jeopardize funding in the future. I understand that. What's unclear to me is the one as a part of the 10 and what's actually being quote unquote jeopardized here.
Thank you, Commissioner. What I've been told is the answer is yes, but I'll yield to Brian and Alicia if anything is different. If this particular connector point is not approved, will it have an impact on the other connectors regionally?
Through the chair, and I'll again defer to Brian as well. I mean, it just will be absent a connection gap within connecting Dearborn to Detroit to Dearborn Heights. So it would just be a connection gap to get to Hines regionally to I-275 and those other connector points that this whole, SEMCOG trail system, bike and non-motorized plan have implemented across the state and definitely in the Southeast region. So it would just be a gap that will be created there without having that connection point.
Madam Chair, may I ask that gap, can you state very clearly where that gap will be in this, as it relates to these connectors?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, through the chair, I mean, as I indicated, the gap will be from the connection from the Parkland Park. So the connector comes from, again, Rouge, Rogale, possibly Bonnie Brook location, down through Eliza Howe, through Dearborn, as well as connection along the Rouge River point to Dearborn Heights, our Parkland Park, which again is managed by Dearborn Heights, and the 0.2 mile access point from that area down to Hines. So that will be the essential gap of 0.2 miles from that area safely to Hines Park. And again, Brian or any other partner from the Rouge River, where I know our friends from Rouge are on there, but that can speak to just that question.
So this is Brian Pollock again.
Go ahead.
I'll just mention from a TAP perspective, we're specifically talking about, funding for this project, for the Parkland connector. So, from our perspective, there is no other funding guaranteed at this point. All other projects, future projects, they have to come, through the same process. And so they'll be considered individually. So by if this was to be, denied, it would just affect this project specifically in the short term. Long term, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I cut you off. Shame on me. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say is that, so it only affects that project in the short term. That being said, if there's other similar projects, I think at the very least, the regional review committee at SEMCOG, as well as other reviewing agencies over at MDOT, et cetera, will be looking at future projects with more scrutiny and trying to make sure there's guarantees that this would not happen again. From a SEMCOG perspective, we're always looking to say yes to projects that individual communities think are best for their community. So we're not trying to say no to anything. But that being said, we also want to make sure that these projects are buildable and implementable, and so that way we can best utilize the limited funding that we have available.
And Madam Chair, if the additional information that's needed, we have Todd Scott, who's been part of the Greenway Connection, and of course, Dara O'Brien, who is the Director of Planning, and Marie McCormick, who's been, again, a regional partner of all of this connection, if we need additional input as far as the question of the gap and the implementation of the project.
Madam Chair, can I follow up if you don't mind?
Yes.
And again, I just want to apologize to my colleagues because I think, as you've seen since I joined the commission a year and a half ago, I try to reserve talking for when it really matters and what have you. So I just appreciate the latitude here, Madam Chair, to have a bit of a dialogue. I just wanted to come back to the point that the gentleman made, and that is that if for whatever reason the commission decides to forego this funding, it will not jeopardize the other access points or the funding within other commission districts. Could I get some clarification on that? I want to make sure I was crystal clear.
Mr. Pollock?
So I'm not aware of the other connection points because, again, they have not gone through a transportation and alternatives program grant cycle or review. So I can't specifically comment on those ones. So based on that, there would be no direct, action right now by, SEMCOG from that standpoint.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that by me asking my colleagues to say no to something in my district, that I'm not going to be directly hurting something in their districts as well.
Yeah, I mean, not directly, but again, I just, want to reiterate that, as far as the review process and competitiveness, this is a competitive program, that it may be harder for the regional review committee or other reviewing agencies from an MDOT standpoint to say yes to a project because of being essentially burnt on the process, because this was approved many years ago. Generally, they're supposed to be built like within a year, and this is a project that we've been trying to get through, and it takes a lot of administration. As far as on the MDOT side, you're going through this, and generally, if it's a good project, we would like to see it built. From that standpoint, because there's a lot of resources that go into putting this. And again, as you mentioned in spirit, as far as connectivity, these are all great things. And so again, we would, in general, we would like to see this project move forward.
And can I ask a follow-up question too on this issue of the gap? I mean, Commissioner Marecki and Baydoun and I were at this proposed location yesterday. We drove less than a half a mile down the road and we hopped on the Hines Drive there from the outer drive entrance. And so I'm just curious if someone could explain more or in better detail that gap issue. Because I think from my perspective, we hopped right on the Hines by just going less than a half a mile down the road. So just looking for some clarity on that too, please.
Madam Chair, if I can, we looked at the Otter Drive location, and Commissioner Kniezek is correct. However, Otter Drive does not present the safe traverse to Hines as with this Parkland Park connector. And Todd Scott can add input into that. Again, our team looked at that because of the slope of Otter Drive. It does not safely allow for families to be biking alongside of vehicles, where this will provide a different access. And he is correct, it is a half a mile down further, but we did look at that alternative location as well. It require an additional funding in order to do that aspect at that location. But again, I'll ask for Todd Scott, who's been part of Greenway Connection, looking at mixed use studies of road and off-road, just about his input about that, or Brian or my other team members accessible to address that question, if that's acceptable.
Yes, that's acceptable.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Todd Scott. I'm the executive director for the Detroit Greenways Coalition. We're a nonprofit in Detroit working on building biking and walking trails across the city of Detroit. But actually, before I was in this position, 20 years ago, I was working on trails in this area. We worked with Friends of Rouge Park and built a hiking and mountain biking trail in Rouge Park. But then the next step was we really looked at how could we connect this to Hines Drive, because that's where a lot of folks are walking and biking. And we did look at how we could connect through Parkland to connect up to Rouge Park, and started advocating for that. Because the gap using Outer Drive is just not a very family-friendly alternative. It's not a trail experience. Making a left off of Hines Drive onto Outer Drive is not pleasant. I do that often. There's a lot of car traffic at Ann Arbor Trail. So going through the park would be much better. And that's something we advocated 20 years ago. And then in my new role with the Detroit Greenways Coalition, about 10 years ago, we began advocating for the Rouge Greenway, which would connect Hines Drive all the way up to 8 Mile, building a trail through Rouge Park, Eliza Howell, all the way up to 8 Mile. And I mean, this would be a key connection, making that greenway a reality. And one thing I'd say too, one thing about trails that really hasn't come up is that people who use trails really love their trails and they care for them a great deal. And if people are throwing trash or driving cars on them, they're not bashful about complaining. Trust me, I get those complaints all the time. And one difference that has happened in the last 10 years is that those people who care about their trails now have cell phones and cameras and video cameras. So, you know, I think by bringing in legitimate users who care about the trail, just as the neighborhood cares about its neighborhood, is going to do a lot of good in making this place a much safer place to be, and bring a great safe connection for the Rouge Greenway.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kniezek, you still have the floor.
No, I appreciate this opportunity, Madam Chair. And I think I'll cut off my remarks for now and just look forward to hearing from the residents and their feedback as well.
Okay, thank you. And I am looking and I see 3 commissioners with their hands up in this order: Commissioner Baydoun, Commissioner Kinloch, and Commissioner Dodd. So go ahead, Commissioner Baydoun.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, I visited the area, and I'm very familiar with the area, by the way. University Subdivision, being a real estate broker, I have sold many properties over the years, and I know and I understand the values of that subdivision. What makes that subdivision so unique over the years, the way it's situated, it's very exclusive, it's secluded, and now we are trying to provide possibly an opening point. I understand that there's 10 connection points we're trying to establish to Hines Drive. And Beverly and Alicia, I have the utmost respects for both of you. And on this issue, I don't agree with making a connection behind this neighborhood. There has to be a way, like Commissioner Kniezek mentioned, we just not even, I walk and I jog and I bike Hines Drive all the time. I see people on Outer Drive and Hines on bikes next to vehicles trying to make a left or a right turn. I think the access point is not that far. Obviously, yes, we don't want to lose funding, for connecting our parks. But at the same time, when you have 60 or 90 residents who are objecting to this, even the people who are giving us the grant would understand that, you know, we need to go back to the drawing board. Maybe this is not the best connection point to Hines Drive. Maybe we need to go back to the drawing board and figure out a way. Also, the fact that they're talking about 10-foot or 12-foot wide road with asphalt, that's an invitation for other vehicles. Look, I live on West Lane. I back up to the Henry Ford Estate and to along the Rouge River. There's a foot traffic behind my house. Many times people get lost behind my house, and I know as a homeowner, when people come into your backyards, how that would feel. So, and I'm trying to understand, we're trying to connect the park in Dearborn Heights, Parkland, into the Hines Drive. I want to know, I'll be quite honest with you, I've lived in this area for many years. I hardly see so many people in that area, and maybe Mayor Bill Bazzi can interject on that. Are we connecting the people that are going to use that parkland into Hines Drive? I mean, people can get into their vehicles or bikes and just go down on Arbor Trail and go to Hines. I guess I'm not opposed to connecting our parks, and by no means I would like to reject grants, but at the same time we have to be cognizant of the fact that there are many people who are opposing this trail, if you will, behind that residential neighborhood. I believe we need to go back to the drawing board and figure out a better way to connect that park into Hines Drive. And I would like to hear also from the residents. I received many phone calls yesterday. Again, a lot of people know me and they've lived there for many years. And I received many emails. People are objecting to this, so we need to listen. We don't want to just alienate a whole subdivision just for the sake of $300,000 or $400,000 grant that we're getting to connect into Hines Drive. This is a very strong tax base for the city of Dearborn Heights. There are $1 million homes in that subdivision. And I respectfully disagree with some of the assessment, especially those homes that are very close to this trail. They could be impacted, value-wise in terms of having the privacy and the beautiful scenery in the back. These are my thoughts, but I also would like to hear, Madam Chair, from the residents in University Village and surrounding area. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Commissioner Baydoun. Okay, Commissioner Kinloch, you're up next.
Madam Chair, here we are again having a conversation about a regional project. And here we are again forgetting about the historical relationship as it relates to the community that is part of the conversation that will be impacted by this specific connector, one of 10 connectors. As we are discussing and I'm listening to these conversations and listening to this dialogue, the dialogue is around this project is quite disheartening, because we're talking about and hearing things from what I like to call historical hesitation sort of comments that have been used in the past, talking about how this lane will impact property value. And you're hearing questions around crime being implied that it would be caused because of this bike lane, or recreational and a park use that we also heard in this meeting, that it has historically been identified that these type of uses are not, does not cause an increase in crime, does not create any negative impact on property value. And it's just totally unfortunate that people have not brought into the recollection as it relates to the historical conversations and context of comments that have been made in the past, and the relationship between Detroit, Dearborn, and Dearborn Heights. There's a lot, there's history that we cannot ignore in this. And I just have to ask again, we're talking about the property in question is county-owned property. We're talking about as it relates to some of the residents who have some serious issues of this trail abutting their property. Have, from what I understand, there has been some construction as it relates to tennis courts or whatever onto county property. And the county has seemed to acquiesce that fact and chosen to continue to allow those uses on county-owned property. When you talk about that, we're talking about county-owned. When we say county-owned, and we're talking about everyone, all 43 communities within the city, within the Wayne County. But specifically, I'm having issues with the fact of some of the comments being stated without any facts as relates to the impact that it's going to have on property value, and as relates to crime, the impact that it will have as it relates to increasing in crime. Those are some historical characterizations that are unfortunate and very problematic for me. When you're talking about this one specific connector, that's what we're talking about out of 10, and what community will allow for access onto Hines Drive and to be a part of this broader trail and broader park project. I'm just very disappointed. And I absolutely want to hear from residents, but I hope I do not hear any more statements around the negative impact it would have on property values and the implied, folks implying that it will increase crime because it's, you know, from a historical perspective, those are things and those are code words that are bring back some awful memories. Thank you.
Madam Chair, to that point.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
I would like to just for the record, I was there yesterday, you were there, and Commissioner Kniezek was there. There are no tennis courts behind these homes. I saw a volleyball net, which is temporary. People could use it, and it could be removed.
I may have misdescribed it on that, sorry.
Yeah, there are no tennis courts, Commissioner, and we're not implying anything about the, you know, that the people, because of the crime, that it's going to be increased. You know, I'll let the residents speak about that. I'm not a resident there. You know, they know that area better in terms of that. But honestly, with all due respect, also, I disagree with you. There's some, there will be some impact on those homes that are close to the trail. They will, you know, their value will be impacted. So that's my opinion. I do respect your opinion, but I would like to also hear from the residents. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And are you through Commissioner Kinloch then?
I am, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Dodd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a couple of quick questions for the Parks Department. This property that we are planning the trail on, the trail will be 100% on Wayne County property. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, it will be on Wayne County property.
Okay, and the new revised plan, the trail or any construction that we're going to be putting up will not be on any private homeowners' land or their backyards. It won't touch any backyards. Is that correct?
Through the chair, correct. Initially, our proposed plan was along our property line, still along our property line, but when our proposed plan was on our property line, we found the expansions of the residential amenities onto our property. And so we took that into account and we've determined to do additional setback, the 80 feet, so it would not be along our property line as originally scored, but further down in order to access that area.
Okay. Is this property that we're talking about considered a park property?
Yes, it is a park property. So the residential homes abut the park property.
Okay.
Correct.
So therefore, every Wayne County citizen, every Wayne County taxpayer should have a right to use this property.
Through the chair, Commissioner Dodd, you are correct. Our parks are accessible to everyone, not only Wayne County residents, but any visitor to parks. So that's what we are about inclusivity and equitable access to our park system, not only us, but our municipal partners as well. That is the whole philosophy of parks.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Ms. Bradford. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Dobb. I don't see any other commissioners' hands up.
Yes,
so,
Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, yes. Commissioner Haddis. I'm sorry.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. I know it's a very difficult issue. It have positive and we have some negative from the public side. I received lots of email and phone calls, and I want everybody to know this committee, it's not the final decision. This committee would recommend to send it to the full board for discussion, and the full board would decide if this project would go forward or not. The full board of Wayne County Commission make the final decision. So the debate today is I listened to from both sides. That we have some positive thing, and we have some concern from the public about their property value, about their safety. We need to pay attention to both. My first question is, we have 10 connector. Is those under 10 different grant, or they all under one grant? Can anybody answer that question?
Through the chair, Commissioner Hedges, this is all part of a regional plan. Wayne County Parks is only speaking of the Parkland Park Connect. Of our regional plan, there are other connection points that other municipalities are applying for, working toward getting grant allocations, or if they have capital funding set aside. We're only speaking of the Wayne County Parks Connector. But as part of the Rouge River Greenway Plan, part of our Connecting the Rouge Plan, they're identifying access points to our park system along the 7 miles from Northville to Dearborn Heights, in which this is one of the connector points. So there's not a number of 10, there are a multiplicity of numbers. We're just speaking specifically of this one location at Parkland Park.
So you're telling me, in short, the Dearborn Heights connector, it have grant only for that project?
Through the chair, correct, Commissioner Hedges. We only have approval for that project specifically.
Yes, because I appreciate Commissioner Kniezek when he was carefully stating he doesn't want to affect some other district in that area, in the park and recreation. So that it's only by one. Through the debate and the discussion with the resident, I don't know if there was proposal by the resident an alternative route to the area, or just straight no, we don't want it.
Through the chair,
I'd like to hear that from some of the residents when the chance time comes.
So just through the chair, Commissioner Hedges, just we did look at, from our initial conversation from when we had our public meetings with the residents, and it was proposed of Otter Drive. We did look at that location. Again, bringing in all of the factors engineering wise, if that was an accessible location, a family friendly location to be able to bike to Hines, or however to travel safely to Hines. And it is doable, but it would create not an easy access as this location point would. And again, I'll let other colleagues speak to that if necessary, but I know you wanted to hear from the residents, but in response, we did look at the alternate location at Otter Drive as well.
Well, the way I see it, Madam the Chair, and to the administration, it's the beginning of serious dialogue about that issue. I don't know where we go from here, but I'm open to listen to both sides. And I've been around for a while to know the positive effect on any project or negative effect. But we need to give it a chance and discuss it to make sure we could reach a point where everybody comfortable with it. We need always to improve our standard of living by enhancing the park and recreation. I think that it's in my book, have a great value to life standard we have. So if anybody think it's gonna be easy task, I have a news for you. I think we need to be patient and listen to each other. And finally, we need to make a decision I hope would be acceptable by everybody. I know not everybody gonna like the decision either or, but at least the majority would understand. We base our decision based on what's good for the resident and the community. We work for them. Thank you, Madam the Chair. I'll be listening very carefully.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Palomero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question relates to the width of the path. It's been stated that it is 10 feet with a 2-foot buffer. Is there a minimum width that is required, whether it's 6 feet wide with a 2-foot buffer or 8 feet with a 2-foot buffer, that would also restrict vehicular traffic from going down that path? Or what is the minimum width that's needed to qualify for the grant? and to make it practically usable for both bikers and bicyclists and walkers in that area? Brian, you can answer that, or Alicia.
I'd be happy to answer that if Alicia would like me to.
Yes, thank you, Brian.
Thank you. So the minimum width for a shared use path needs to be 10 foot with 2 foot buffers. That's the bare minimum. 8 feet is not acceptable as a shared use path. And so like it would, you would be revising the scope of the project if you didn't that it effectively become a sidewalk. So, that needs to be done that, to the AASHTO, or American Association for State Highway Transportation Officials guidelines. MDOT, sets that up. So that is the minimum. That being said, and I'm sure this is already the case, but there's things being implemented in order to make sure that motor vehicles can't travel down that pathway. And I understand some people might get confused and think that it's a narrow road, but think of it, roads are generally 12, 13, 14 feet wide. I mean, this is much narrower than that. And what we would be putting in place in some places, it's bollards like in the middle of the pathway that shrinks it in size so that it's effectively only 5 feet in width in areas. Other times you can basically boulevard the access point. So you take the path and divide it into 2 smaller paths, and you put basically a curb in that area and you garden it up. There's signs out there that says, non-motorized, no motorized access. There's a variety of things that can be done, and I'm sure as part of the project. And if you don't mind, while I have the floor, I just wanted to mention as far as sidewalks, because we talked about the narrowing width, that while there is access on Outer Drive with some sidewalks, those sidewalks are not complete. And additionally, sidewalks do not provide the same safety factor for bicyclists. So it's basically a pedestrian only facility. So, you're not getting the same scope. And as my colleague Todd Scott said, as far as a level of comfort and your desire to be, traveling, along an Outer Drive, I think that's, much less comfortable than being in a park setting. And I would say that as far as, again, with the crime and, property values and such, we only have to look to, some of the very successful projects in Detroit and the surrounding areas. So if we look at the Dequindre Cut, which was a former railroad, and that used to have a lot of crime in that area, but, you put, park facilities in that area, and, you have more people out there watching it, and you make it a community focal point, and, crime disappears. The more people you have out there, the more it's going to actually, address some of the concerns that the residents have. But we have also, the Connor Creek Greenway in the northern part of Detroit. We have the Downriver Link Greenways in, southern Wayne County. So there's a variety of cases where there's been, trails that have been put in place, next to people's homes, and, it hasn't negatively impacted them. In fact, in a lot of places, people are building homes right next to the trails, especially like in southern Wayne County along the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks. So I really, behoove people to think about this as an opportunity in order to address some of those concerns that they do have. And, I'm not trying to invalidate them. I'm trying to say that, through parks, through improvements and community programming together, that you can make a positive impact for the entire neighborhood and have, mutual benefits, both from just, local neighborhood access as well as the more regional, county access to the park system.
To that point, Madam the Chair, Brian, I understand the design have some steel bar to prevent motor vehicle to go through, and only the maintenance crew have the ability to open those and close them. Can you address that?
Yeah, that would be a bollard. And so that is an opportunity that, if it's not already in the design, it's something that could be put in place. So generally it's, there's a part that's already fixed in the ground, and then there's another part of the steel bar or bollard that is above ground, and the two of them meet. You put a pin like within there to secure it, but you have a lock associated with that pin, as you were saying. So that way only the maintenance workers or other emergency folks have access to that. And I believe the Parks Department had some other ideas as well. But the whole point is that, yes, it would limit the vehicular travel down the roadway.
Thank you.
Commissioner Palmieri, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just wrap up with this. From my perspective, no matter how many ways, forms, and fashions the county attempts to address the concerns of the residents in that area, whether it's moving the path 80 feet or narrowing the path, and I get it. People are concerned as how it impacts themselves. It is the classic NIMBY case, not in my backyard. I get it. I understand that completely. And that's what we have to balance. That's our job, to balance the needs of the general public with those private homeowners who have some legitimate concerns. But no matter how many times the goalposts are moved, at the end of the day, they're never going to support this project from happening there unless it's shut down altogether and does not happen. So I'll look forward to hearing from the residents, from the mayor of Dearborn Heights, and from others who might enlighten me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Kinloch? Okay.
Madam Chair?
Okay, yes.
We're running very, very late.
Yes.
We're into our budget meeting already. And I was wondering if we could wrap this up and hear from the public and vote on it and recess till 1 o'clock. So that way we could have our budget portion done as well.
Yes, let's do that. I look right now.
To this one, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry?
Yes, Commissioner Varga said to vote on it. I want the public to understand the vote. It's not to approve or disapprove the project. It is to move to the full board. Right. I want everybody to understand the difference. Moving to the full board and approve it. It's totally different.
Okay, so I made the
yes, because we have 7. Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, we have 7 committee members on this committee, and there's 15 committee members at the full board. All the commissioners are at the full board. So it would move, if it goes through today, it would move to the full board. Okay, let me just, before we start audience communication, I had mentioned to a couple people that it would be 2 minutes. We're going to have to put that back to 1 minute because of how backed up these meetings are going for the day. So I just want, if you could identify yourself, the clerk's going to help me out with this because there's so many hands up. If you could identify yourself and you could give a 1 minute viewpoint on what you want to tell us. We do not communicate back and forth. We are just here to listen to what you have to say. So then after this, we're going to take a vote on this, and then it looks like we're going to need to recess until we'll determine that time. And I apologize to my committee members, but it's really getting behind. So let's start with
excuse me, Madam
Mayor
Chair.
Bazzi. Yes.
Did you want me to time and just let the member of the public know when it's time?
Yes, that would be very helpful as the clerk and I are looking for people. We want to make sure we get everybody. But I know Mayor Bazzi is on here, and I would like for him to start.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'll talk fast. So some of the concerns, I've also talked to a lot of residents. A lot of residents reached out to me, visit the City Hall and also on phone calls, also on site. Traffic is a huge concern. Also, the motorcycles running through the path. A lot of residents voice concerns that their kids will be on the path as well. And even in the evening, if there are kids in the area and there's strangers coming through on the path, the parents have to watch their kids, pretty much anytime they're outside because they don't know who's going to be in their backyard, basically. And also, maintenance was a huge concern to some residents about the property. Who's going to upkeep it? There's a budget, obviously, to put it up there, but upkeeping it is a huge concern. And another thing obviously with the flooding, you know, that's a huge sensitive topic to Dearborn Heights residents.
We're at 1 minute.
So sorry, the flooding is a huge concern as well.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for joining us today and for your comments. And I'm sorry it's gone down to 1 minute, but Madam Clerk, can you help out? Why don't we read the emails at the end in case somebody has to get off, and start with people that are actually on here.
Okay, I wrote some names down from the chat.
Okay.
This name is spelled Killoud. He wrote a few comments.
Okay.
Or she.
Are they
still on?
Yes, I think they're on. I see them silent or muted.
Yeah, they wrote a few comments in the chat, so I thought maybe they just wanted to speak.
Okay.
Madam Chair, we have the homeowner that we met yesterday, Dr. Ali Dabaja. He has his hand raised. Dr. Ali Dabaja.
Yep, go ahead.
Hi guys, how's it going? I'm one of the homeowners about 100 feet away, less than 100 feet away from this project, obviously. I've had extensive conversations with Rockland, Parkland University, over 65 people, 70 people almost this petition. Only 2 people refused to sign it. That's how many people actually were against this project. We have to understand that these are 3 neighborhoods, not one. It has nothing to do about property value and everything to do about our safety. You know, people keep on mentioning studies. There's a great study that I have pulled up before about urban encroachment or suburban sprawl and its effect on behavior and resource recreational areas. In fact, those studies and the review has elegantly shown increase in deviant behaviors when you have this type of access in areas like that. So there are actually pretty good, and in fact, those type of studies have also shown that it prevents people from utilizing those park systems in those areas. Keep in mind that Parkland Park is known as a pariah park in all those neighborhoods. No one actually utilizes it. And there's also no biking in Parkland, nor in that area. Dearborn Heights is not accessible to bikes, unfortunately, in Arbor Trail. So I'm not really sure what the 2 connections are gonna, accomplish. We are very concerned about violence and safety in this area. We have seen and heard about rapes in the area. There have been multiple burglaries. About 1 week ago, a car was stolen about 100 feet.
We're at 1 minute.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we have a lot to say, and the executive has been speaking about this project for the past hour and a half. You know, I understand the commissioners don't know much, but we have not been able to express our concerns about this project. I just wanted to leave it there.
Okay, thank you. And I know you sent an email in, so thank you. Thank you for that as well. Madam Clerk, hands up. Could you call on people?
I've seen a Marie McCormick. Her hand was up and also in the chat, but I don't see her in.
I think she just left, it looks like. Next one.
Aya or Aya, A-Y-A.
Aya.
Thank you. My name is Aya. I'm one of the residents on Ann Arbor Trail.
Aya, what's your last names for the record?
Dabaja, D-A-B-A-J-A.
Yep.
So I'm just going to kind of continue on what Dr. Ali Dabaja was saying. As far as, about 20 some years ago, you guys developed Parkland Park and you said it was going to be a great thing and it was somebody's baby. Now, no, it's no longer anyone's baby. And Parkland Park is ravaged by needles, by drugs, by beer bottles, by trash. If you walk there, you see trash, you see beer bottles crushed. And I've seen the same beer bottle at the end of the trail. Hasn't been cleaned up since last November. So the question is, once this is no longer your baby, who's going to be accountable when we're the only ones who are still there? So there's a very big concern for our community. So I invite all of the commissioners to come to our backyard, come and stand with where our backyard is and see what we're talking about. Please don't talk about it from behind the computer because this is actually affecting our lives. It affects us very negatively. And we're not trying to, discount anyone. And this is one line, this is one connector, and this is one grant. This is not affecting everybody else. So please don't blur the lines. We don't want it. We're very, very much against it.
Okay, thank you very much. Perfect timing. Madam Clerk, next.
It just says iPhone.
Okay, iPhone. There you go. Go ahead, iPhone.
My turn? Okay. So,
yes, please, your name.
My name is Dr. Mohammed Reshuni. I lived in the neighborhood for about 24 years now. I don't necessarily see any advantages to adding a pathway in that area. I don't believe any of the residents are going to use it. There's no parking except for in the neighborhood or in our neighborhood to be able to access that. the parking at Parkland Park is either on Outer Drive, which is accessible to Hines Drive as it is, which is only a half mile away. Furthermore, people are talking about crime. I don't see anybody not from these neighborhoods entering that parkway. And for the record, for the past 25 years, I've just been going over to Outer Drive and Hines Drive and just hopping on my bike. That being said, people have to cross across Ann Arbor Trail, and they have to cross Hines Drive to be able to access that trail on Hines Drive that takes you to the Andiamos area and to the actual system that takes you to the Saturday in the Park area. I just don't honestly think it's a good idea, considering where do people park, first of all, to be able to access that side of that trail off of Ann Arbor Trail, where they really will start to flood the neighborhood rather than use the actual park amenities within Parkland Park, which again, like Aya was saying, are full of needles, beer bottles, people smoking, and all that stuff that we just don't need in the area.
Okay, thank you very much.
And also, can Dr. Raycioni please spell his first name? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mohamed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Joe. Next person, Madam Clerk.
It says Dara O'Brien or O'Brien.
Okay, Dara O'Brien or O'Byrne. Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the time. My name is Dara O'Byrne. I'm the Chief Parks Planner for the City of Detroit. And I want to speak on behalf of the City of Detroit, and I am also a Wayne County resident. I just want to state that the City of Detroit supports this important connection to the greenways work that the City of Detroit has been working on with many of our partners that are on the call today. And the importance of this connection, both regionally and for the City of Detroit. And I just want to reemphasize and support some of the comments from Todd Scott and Brian related to the opportunity around increased legitimate users of the park and the opportunity to resolve some of the really important issues we've heard from residents, both on a call yesterday and today, around crime, around traffic, that legitimate users and these improvements can really help to reduce crime and increase legitimate users like families, and the importance of creating a safe, comfortable option for biking and walking and connecting to these larger regional trail systems. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Madam Chair, or Madam Clerk.
Hassan Dabaja.
Okay, go ahead, sir. How about if we come back to him?
Rouge Friends.
Okay.
Hello.
Rouge. Oh, who's that?
This is Hassan Dabaja.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna make it very fast. I just wanna let you know that I live the very first house in that subdivision, okay? And I'm affected, and I'm gonna tell you something. I lived there for 32 years. I always maintained this area myself and paid for it financially, okay? I've been victim of people coming back door of my house and trying to break my house. Neighborhood cross street, saw the people, call the police, okay? No one was at the house. Always been trying to maintain, no one ever maintained the area. There's always garbage everywhere. Everywhere you turn around, there's a garbage, okay? And traffic, we're talking about traffic, a lot of traffic, a lot of wheels squealing, and lots of noise, okay? And that's gonna bring more and more noise. I don't wanna retire, I'm 65, and I don't wanna retire and patrol the area and maintain the area. Enough is enough. Thank you. That's all I wanna say.
Thank you very much. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, now Marie McCormick next, Friends of the Rouge.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Marie McCormick. I'm the Executive Director with Friends of the Rouge. On behalf of the organization, I am voicing full support for this project. Friends of the Rouge has been working for 35 years to restore and protect the Rouge, the river, and all the tributaries. And one of the things that we think is the most important is creating equitable access to recreational opportunities in the river and the corridor across the region. And this is a connector, very much like the river. This network of greenways trails will connect our communities through paths of non-motorized transportation. I do want to just point your attention to one study that was put together by the Huron River Watershed Council in 2017. I will share that with you, but it's a summary of the economic impact of the Huron River and the trails in that area. Key findings, the water trail and the river trails along that area has created over $53.5 million in economic output annually.
Okay,
150. Yep.
Marie, I'm sorry, you're 1 minute up, but if you would want to send me that, I could disperse this to the commissioners.
I would be delighted to. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, Madam Clerk, next person.
Councilman Mo Baidoon.
Oh, okay. Hi, Councilman. Go ahead.
Hey, how are you, Madam Chair? Thank you so much to the residents and colleagues. Thank you for having me here. Madam Chair, this goes out to the commissioners that are going to be making this vote today. I think the residents came out. I think the residents have spoken. At the end of the day, these are the residents that are living within the area, that are clearly maintaining the parks, and are obviously voicing their concerns. So for the colleagues that are on this committee today that are going to be making a vote, I hope you vote in support of what the residents feel and how they have spoken up for this. I yield the rest of my time, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. All right, Madam Clerk, anybody else here?
Latifa Dabaja.
Okay, Latifa, go ahead.
Hello, thank you for the time. My name is Latifa Dabaja for the record. And I just wanted to state that we, as citizens, we understand that access is necessary for the parks, and we reject any idea that we do not want that type of, access for citizens. And it isn't about us against, a private value or private properties against people coming in. That is not what we are saying. What we are saying is we need commitment from our government that we are going to be safe when we have concerns, that they will be around, that they will continue to maintain, that they will give us their word that they will be doing this, and that they just won't let it go in 3 or 4 years, maintain it for that long, and then we have to take care of it. So I want to make sure the commissioners understand that we want commitment from government, that they're going to take care of this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Latifa.
Madam Chair, I just want to say that there was a total fair statement that just came from that last resident. And I hope that the staff who is on here, who are responsible for maintaining this property, understand that this is very, very important for us to continue to have the safeguards and the continual maintenance schedules to make sure that we are properly addressing these residents' concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, anyone else?
No, that's all from here, aside from the comments.
And we have received some emails that Madam Clerk is going to have to read. I think 3 or 4 of them were the same email, so maybe we can just read that one and attribute who wrote that, and then the other 2. Okay. And Madam Clerk, it's Felicia. If it's a 1-minute communication, do we just read the whole entire email, or?
No, you can limit it to the 1 minute and then forward the emails to commissioners.
Okay, sounds good. So Madam Clerk, will you read that for the minute, and Commissioner Dobb will keep the timing going.
Yes, okay, so this is from Earlene Seymour. It says, oh wait, I'm sorry, that is for HHS. 1 second. This is from Ali Hassan. And it says, as a citizen of Dearborn Heights in Wayne County, Michigan, in regards to the proposed modification to the Hines Park system named Parkland Park Connector Plan and Parking Lot, I express my opposition to the proposed construction. We strongly urge the Wayne County Commission to stand by citizens and vote down the planned construction of its connector/roadway pathway. Previously, over 60 concerned citizens of the Parkland Rockdale and University subdivision signed and submitted a petition to the Wayne County Executive communicating our strong opposition, and there's a petition attached. It says, concerned citizens believe the planned connector road pathway will negatively impact the surrounding neighborhoods for the following reasons. Safety of citizens will be impacted with increased pedestrian traffic throughout the neighborhoods in an area already significantly impacted by crime and burglary. A significant increase in unpatrolled land area that may promote unlawful vehicle access to a road pathway that is large enough for vehicles in an area already severely impacted by racing and loitering. Concern.
1 minute.
Okay.
1 minute, thank you. Next one.
This is from Aya Dabaja. It says, my name is Aya Dabaja. I am a resident of Wayne County. I currently reside in the University Village in Ann Arbor Trail neighborhood. Recently, there's been an MDOT Public Works project that is threatening the privacy and safety of our community. Job number 204928 seeks to build a roadway through a quiet and closed-off neighborhood in our sector, infringing on multiple homes, backyards, and privacy. This roadway would be the only connector that goes through private land and neighborhoods on Hines Drive. We believe there is better ways to create foot traffic into Parkland Park that does not infringe on our neighborhood's privacy and safety. Furthermore, there is real concern for our safety. Hines Drive notoriously attracts people carrying drugs and alcohol paraphernalia in the nighttime hours. Our neighborhood houses hundreds of children, and we will not stand by this type of recreational activity in our neighborhood park. We have come across countless drug paraphernalia on Hines Drive, and we will not stand with making this an easy access target for this type of activity.
Okay, thank you. Next item. Next email.
Okay. This is from, I don't know how to pronounce it, ABIR, last name H. It says, to whom this may concern, we hope everyone is having a good day. We are sending this email because we are upset to hear that the county is going to continue with the sidewalk project in front of our home. We understand the neighborhood is strongly against this with many signatures. Why would you consider? We have called the police many times to complain about racing cars. As I am emailing this today, the grass is long and there are about 20 pieces of garbage in that area. We have 3 children and have been in this neighborhood for 9 years. Back in 2014, our home was broken into in our neighborhoods next to us 3 times. We personally never walked across the street to take the kids to Hines Drive or Parkland in the 9 years we have been there. We do not feel safe and we do not believe this project is a good idea for our neighborhood. Please consider this when making your decision today.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Next email.
Okay. Okay, some of these were duplicated. So.
Yeah, could you read the names of the duplicates? Was that for the first email?
Hassan Salami.
Okay.
That was already a duplicate. That's this is oh no. This is from, it just says AD. I think it's Amani. That's the name. It says, good morning, Commissioner Marecki. I am writing you to voice my opposition to the Parkland Park Connector Path and Parking Lot. I urge you and your fellow commissioners to oppose this project. My fellow neighbors and I oppose this project because it will negatively impact our community. One of the most important factors is our safety. Creating a connector from the scheduled Hines Park Drive to a neighborhood will increase foot traffic. I actually believe I read this already somewhere. But this was from, her name is Amani. I'm not sure of her last name. It just says Amani.
Okay, next letter.
This is from Miriam Saad. It says, good morning. I am a grandmother and mother that lives in the University Village. My family visits me often and I do not feel safe with this new sidewalk that is going up. I heard it is big enough for a car to go over the grass to get there and race down there. We already have cars racing up Ann Arbor Trail and Hines Drive. We hear them all throughout the night. I do not go to the parks by our house with the grandkids. I don't know anyone that does in our neighborhood, so why do we need it? I walk every morning and I get scared sometimes and go home because cars drive many times and look around. We don't walk to either parks and we do not need to connect it. We also see water down there when we drive by and there and the grass is tall. Why do we need this here? Please do not build it. Money can go to help people do things like fix the flooding, not build a sidewalk. Even if you have the money, you don't need to spend it just to spend it.
Okay, next letter.
This is from Mustafa Debaja, but we read the comment already.
Okay.
This is from Kalu Debaja, but we read the comment already. This is from, it's actually not for this committee. Oh, that's it for the email comments.
Okay. And I did get something in the chat that Amani would like to address this for a minute. Go ahead, Amani. You're on mute. You're on mute.
All right, Commissioners, thank you for taking the time. So I've lived in University Village for over 30 years. So I've become a beautiful community. I've seen families actually, like kids have homes now and are building their own families. And yes, the 90s was a different time and we didn't have that. Now we're in 2021 and the crime's been through the roof. I've had a package stolen 3 weeks ago. So, I mean, saying this is gonna reduce crime is unheard of. And I would also like to point out, I use the connector from Ann Arbor Trail to Outer Drive all the time. I take this bike trail on a regular basis, drive up to Haggerty and back, and I don't see anyone getting injured crossing Outer Drive. And if you add this connector on Outer Drive, people are still gonna have to cross Outer Drive, whether this connector pathway is here. People are gonna have to cross Outer Drive. So it isn't reducing or solving the problem that you believe it to be, which I don't see it as a problem because I use it all the time. I see families.
We're at 1 minute.
Using.
Okay.
And also, Amani, can we please get your last name, please? You spell your last name, Amani?
My last name is Debaja as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, I think we are all set. We do have an approving resolution by Commissioner Kinloch that was offered and a support by Commissioner Haddis. Any other discussion before we take this vote to go to full board?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Baidoon.
Can I interject for a second here? What would happen, and this question is to Alicia and to Beverly Watts, what would happen if we pass this for the day and ask for more time and look at different options, if you will? What is it going to jeopardize the grant if we pass it for the day? Is there a deadline on using this money?
Madam Chair, before Alicia speaks, I can just tell you that during all the hearings, hearing from both sides of the community, and again, I want to thank all the residents because we do appreciate this is what residents are supposed to do as far as letting us know, hear their voices. We do hear them. So I can definitely say that as it relates to going back to the drawing board, they've done that several times. And what you see here, the modifications they've made, moving the trail back 80 feet, even though there's some encroachment issues, moving it back, putting up a retaining wall, doing some screening. They've looked at everything they could do. So at this point, there's no more going back to the drawing board for this particular connector to come up with any other suggestions there may be. As it relates to jeopardizing, the grant or timelines, I'll let Alicia speak to that. But I stress them, and as a team, I said, let's do everything we can to address the maintenance concerns, which, by the way, this grant requirement require a maintenance and evacuation plan. So we'd have to maintain this as long as this is developed and as long as we have the trail if it passes through. So I could yield to your other second half of your question, Commissioner, but as relates to anything else that Parks can do, they've done it as far as to compromise and revise the original scope of this project.
Madam the Chair, to this point.
Go ahead, Commissioner Pettis.
Yes, Mrs. Watt, I'm not questioning the design or the engineering of the project. The concern of most of the residents, it's maintenance and safety. And I see room here for us to bring, if we pass it for the day, to bring the sheriff department to let us know how they plan to patrol the area to assure the public safety and how the public service maintenance would be scheduled for those areas. Those concerns, it's a serious concern from the resident, and we need to answer those questions. They didn't question the design. It was a question about the design, but you moved it around 80 feet away from the resident. And we appreciate your work with both sides to make sure we enhance our park and recreation, as has been mentioned before, and Huron River area in my district have positive impact, but they didn't have the same concern and the same question. I think if we pass it for the day to give room to get the answer from the people who provide those services, like the sheriff department, the public service who really do the maintenance, to make sure the resident got the answer to their concern.
Madam Chair, thank you, Commissioner. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Chair, as Commissioner Varga just spoke earlier, can we please recess the meeting so that we, those of us who are on Ways and Means, can get to that and then reconvene immediately following the Ways and Means? What is your pleasure?
Commissioner Kinloch, I would like to take care of this item since we have so many people on the public here, and
Okay.
then we are going to have to recess. And I'm trying to figure out, and I want to ask all of you about the time issue here because we are way into Ways and Means now, and then HHS is after. So let's finish this one issue.
Yes,
and then
ma'am.
we are going to have to recess, unfortunately, but that's what's going to happen. Go ahead, Director Watts.
Yes, I just wanted to respond really quickly, and especially to Commissioner Hayes. Definitely, of course, we're not opposed to any sheriff and even the local law enforcement like Dearborn Heights, where this trail, you know, if it's passed, would reside for them working together. As you know, Sheriff's Department, as well as every local agency, they're strapped, you know, right now. But coming together with a plan, absolutely no problem. Alicia and her team can articulate the maintenance requirements that they submitted, and they have plans for this trail if it's developed. Absolutely, absolutely. We would do the best we can. But as everyone know, I've heard the word guarantee. We cannot, you cannot, no one can guarantee crime or safety. What we can do is make every best effort and have a plan in place. But when we use words like guarantee, I can't do that. No one can do that as it relates to crime, especially when we're talking about this trail. So absolutely, there's room for the sheriffs to come and partner, you know, and talk about what their plans would be with their limited resources, along with Dearborn Heights law enforcement, who we have a long-standing Wayne County lease agreement with them for Parkland Park. We own Parkland Park, but we don't manage. That's a lease agreement with Dearborn Heights. I think there's a collaboration that definitely could go on as it relates to the maintenance and the evacuation plan for this trail, similar like all our other park properties. So absolutely to your question, but definitely we cannot guarantee anything.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that what's really raised the question on the residents' mind. And I really love to have the resident hear from the provider of the certain thing, like the crime prevention, the sheriff, and the maintenance from the maintenance department, and have everything on record to try, if we can, give the resident peace of mind and what we're doing. You know, there's nothing in life, I agree with you, Director Watts, nothing guarantee. I could be walking across the street and get hit by a truck.
Yeah.
So nothing could guarantee, and the people understand that. But we owe it to them to debate and discuss the issue to the maximum And whatever the decision, both sides, we have to live with it. But I really concerned when I hear everybody have the same concern, trash, crime, you know, and we discussed that, we discussed the design, we discussed everything, but we did not discuss the sensitive issue that put the people on that side of the fence. So I really support Commissioner Baidour's idea, pass it for the day to open more discussion, and we go from there.
Okay, right now we have an approval by Commissioner Kinloch and a support by Commissioner Hattis.
Madam the Chair, I withdraw the support and support Commissioner Baidour's a pass for the day.
My motion is on the floor. Still.
Okay. Do we have a support for?
I'll support Commissioner Kinloch.
Okay, so we have Commissioner Dobb doing the support. All right. Let's take a vote on this if there's nothing else, and then we'll discuss the rest of the meeting at this point. So Madam Clerk, could you call a voice vote, a roll call vote?
Commissioner Varga?
Madam Chair, which motion are we voting on?
On the approval, an approval by Commissioner Kinloch, and you supported that, right? That's what we have on the floor right now.
It's to move to the full board.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's a motion to approval and recommend.
Yes.
Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, yes. Oh, I thought I explained that before. Yes, this is a motion to move it to full board, and Commissioner Dobb has now supported it since Commissioner Hattis withdrew his support. Okay, so Madam Clerk, could you call the roll on this, please?
Commissioner Varga?
You know what? I think she just left.
Yes, she left because she
did. Then she came back, but I guess she left.
Oh, she did? Yeah, she might have gotten kicked off. Commissioner Varga, are you there? Yeah,
maybe not.
Here.
Commissioner Palomero?
Yes.
Commissioner Kinloch?
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis?
No.
Commissioner Baidour?
No.
Commissioner Dobb?
Yes.
Chair Marecki?
Yes. Can you go back to Commissioner Varga? Is she back on?
Commissioner Varga? I don't think I see her name either on here.
Right.
I think she left again.
Okay. Okay, so what is the final vote? Madam Clerk.
Again, well, Commissioner Varga didn't vote. We got 2 no's, 1 from Hattis and 1 from Baidour, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4 yes. 4 yes, 2 no.
Okay, item passes. Thank you everyone that was on from the public. I meant to do that even before the vote. I know you stayed on here a long time, and we appreciate you hearing, being here and listening to the meeting. So commissioners, I want to see who's available this afternoon that we can recess this meeting to come back. Does anybody have a problem coming back like between 2:30 and 3? Because we have Ways and Means, we have budget, we have HHS, then we'd have to come back and convene the rest of this agenda.
Can be available at that time.
Okay.
I will be available.
Okay, I'm seeing Melissa shake her head.
Yes.
Okay. So do we have a motion to convene this meeting till, let's say, 2:30 at this point? I'll be texting you if it goes a little further because I'm on all those other committees.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn the meeting. I move to recess the meeting to the call of the chair. And we will tentatively say 2:30.
Okay.
To the call of the chair.
Oh, and Joey, are you okay with this? I forgot about asking you.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Did we have support for that?
You're welcome.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we will now recess the meeting until 2:30, we'll say. Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, welcome back everyone to the Committee on Public Services. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll? Make sure everybody's here.
Commissioner Varga?
Here.
Commissioner Palomera? Commissioner Kinlock?
Present. Present. Traverse City.
Commissioner Hattis?
Present.
Commissioner Baydoun?
Here.
Commissioner Dobb?
Here.
Chair Marecki?
Here.
You have a quorum present. It just looks like we're missing Commissioner Palomera.
Yeah. And he should be on in a minute because we're texting back and forth. So he should be on. Okay. All right. Let's go on then to new business, Madam Clerk.
Item 1, communication from the Department of Public Services forwarding the June 2021 report of all complaint calls made to 1-888 road crew.
Okay.
The receive and file.
Support. Kinlock.
Okay, any questions on this? Pretty self-explanatory. Okay, this is a receive and file. All those in favor of receive and filing this say yes.
Aye.
Hi. Hi. Man,
Yes.
I think I've been on this too long today. I'm starting to lose my mind here. Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Next item.
We know you're a day older, but that shouldn't affect you.
I know it's probably going downhill from now on. Okay, next item, Madam Clerk.
For the record, Commissioner Palomera just joined.
Okay, great.
Item 2, requesting Commissioner approval of a cooperative agreement with Smith Group, Inc.
Move approval. Kinlock.
Okay, actually, would you mind supporting that? Commissioner Kinlock, Al Hattis would like to make the motion on this.
Oh, absolutely. Support.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on this? Can someone from the administration just explain this briefly? I know there were some questions. This was a my deal and how the Smith Group was actually chosen, I think out of 12 or 15 companies that could do the same thing. Is there someone? Gosh, I don't even know if the support staff is on with what's going on with this. Let's see.
Hi, Madam Chair. Michelle Yancey, Wayne County Department of Public Service Admin.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you.
Hi. I don't believe Alicia's on the phone at the moment.
Yeah.
I'll try to do my best to answer your question. This was selected through the My Deal co-op, and they were selected from past oh, I don't even know what the word I want to use.
Performance.
Performance, yes. Thank you, Commissioner. It's been a long day. And we've noted that they do good service for us, and we wanted to continue with the business with them.
Okay, actually, Michelle, I don't think we've ever had a contract with them that I recall. But anyway,
I'm sorry, we have. They just haven't. They were under the Purchasing Director's Authority. They didn't have to come to commission. They fell under Aaron Wagner's authority to sign off.
In this case or in other cases?
Other cases.
Because it was under 150,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
But I would send this message to Alicia and her staff and send you an email back.
And yeah, and that's fine. I mean, I understand what's going on with this, all this meeting stuff today, and I can hear this and let the commissioners know before we vote on this. So it's I don't want to put you on the spot with this.
No problem. Let me try to text her now to see if she can come back and speak to it at the end of the meeting.
Okay, and if she can't, we'll find out anyway. Okay, so any questions?
Madam Chair, is Commissioner Hattis present?
Commissioner Hattis, are you present?
He's on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, I am present.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question. He can't become present here.
in that project, it's in area where it's been worked on by the city of Westland. As you all know, Dorsey School was transferred to community center, and it's the people of that area really using that in a very successful way. They have a boxing club. Some of the civic organization hold meeting over there, and then paving that road and enhance the flow of the traffic. It's essential for that community over there.
Great. Great. Any other comments, questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll on this?
Commissioner Varga?
Yes.
Commissioner Palomero?
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis?
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb?
Yes.
Chair Marecki?
Yes. Motion passes. Next item.
Thank you.
Item 3, requesting commission approval of a contract with Cadillac Asphalt.
Okay, you know what? Why don't we take the next 3 items? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's for 4, 5, and 6. No, Cadillac Asphalt. Okay. This is for the city of Dearborn.
Move for approval, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Support.
All right. Any questions on this? Okay, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga?
Yes.
Commissioner Palomero?
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis?
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb?
Yes.
Chair Marecki?
Yes. Motion passes. The next, why don't we take 4, 5, and 6 together, and then we'll go through them individually, Madam Clerk.
Move approval.
Support.
Okay, these are for engineering services from 3 companies on like an as-needed basis for professional engineering services, which we've done in the past. But I have a question from the administration, if someone's on. And that is, I thought we had 5 companies before. Okay, you know what? I'm going to find out about this. Oh, go ahead.
Michelle Yancey again. Ron Agzinski is here.
Okay, Ron. Are you here, Ron? I see him, his video's off, but I don't see that he's muted. Okay, you know what? Anyway, let's move forward, and I will find the answer.
I found it.
Okay. Who's that?
This is Ron Agasinski.
Oh, okay, Ron, hi. Did you hear my question?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, what we had in the past was we had as-needed engineering services for specific categories, road design, bridge design, and stuff like that. And these are going to be for as-needed engineering services for all engineering services that we require, whether it's design work, whether it's construction inspection, whether it's testing work, or even our permit office can use this, use these people for their assistance.
So is this new then?
This is new, yes.
Okay, because I completely agree with doing this. It saves a lot of time. We did that at the city level in Livonia. So this is new for them to do a whole variety of engineering services.
That's correct. And this was started by people who are no longer here, but we're trying to make sure this moves forward.
Okay. Any questions from commissioners, comments? Okay, do we have a motion on the 3?
Yes, I made the motion.
You did? Okay.
Yes.
Kinlock and
Hattis.
Oh, and Hattis. Okay. So these 3 companies are Baker and Associates, Wade Trim, and Orchard Hills. Okay. If there are no questions, or comments? Madam Clerk, could you take the roll?
Commissioner Varga?
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera?
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis?
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb?
Yes.
Chair Marecki?
Yes. 4, 5, and 6 pass. Next item, please.
Item 7, requesting commission approval of modification 1 to a cooperative agreement with Altech Inc.
Okay, and this is for an increase in the cost of steel and other metal products, and a 3% increase for the traffic signals. This is mostly for traffic signals throughout the Wayne County. Any questions on this?
Move for approval.
Support.
Okay, I heard support. I don't know who did the approval.
Baydoun.
Okay.
Baydoun.
All right, we have a approval from Baydoun, supported by Hattis. Questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll on this?
Commissioner Varga?
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera?
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis?
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb?
Yes.
Chair Marecki?
Yes, motion passes. Next item.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
No, not that I'm aware of, but I want to thank the commissioners again for waiting around all afternoon to come back to finish this meeting. I really appreciate it. This is quite the day. Next item.
Public comments.
Okay, anyone from the public? Do we have any emails, Madam Clerk?
No more emails, no.
No more emails. Okay, is there anyone from the public? Could you unmute everyone?
The lines have been unmuted.
Okay. I don't see anything in the chat. If there's anyone from the public that would like to address the Committee on Public Services, please speak and introduce yourself, and you have 2 minutes. Anyone from the public? Okay, one more time. Anyone from the public? Okay, hearing none, seeing nothing. Next item.
Adjournment.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Okay.
So move, Madam Chair.
Okay, we have an approval and a support. Everybody say aye if they want to. Do the meeting. Okay, thanks again, everybody.
You know, your birthday, Madam the Chair, it's have a